Okay, for this last block, I'll be discussing chapter 26. And chapter 26 basically talks about giving voices to the voiceless. To begin, it says the subject of the lack of diversity in the newsroom has been a hot topic for journalists and news managers for some time. News managers seldom hire people without a college degree, and comparatively, few minorities earn a college education. Journalists often find themselves reporting the stories of people who have different experiences and values other than their own. Yet the purpose of reporting is to uncover information that the public wants to know and needs to know. After taking a news writing course, a student grappled with gender, race, and class issues when interviewing people for a collaborative multimedia project. She had long questioned her place in society and how she came to be in a position of privilege, and struggled best to tell the story of people whose lives were very different from her own. So basically, I think this person I can easily, talk and discuss about this, because being an African American female, we, experience privilege, not experience privilege, but we see others that have privilege. So, just for an example, white privilege, that's one privilege that people talk about a lot that, other minorities may not have. So in this situation, I would say that it doesn't always have to be somebody from the same background to give their opinion on it, because just because she has privilege doesn't mean she can't talk about people who don't have privilege, or talk to people who don't have privilege, because in a sense she gives a different viewpoint, and some people may be receptive of that. So I think it would be good for her to tell her story, but also in a way not to flaunt, because when you have people in a situation who aren't as privileged as you, they may take it differently. So the situation of the story was about a lady by the name of Astoria Gillett. She did not particularly want to take news writing and editing, but it was a required course for her nonfiction major. During the course of the quarter, though she found herself coming up with story idea after story idea and getting excited about local news, her newfound interest in politics even inspired her to vote for the first time. She enjoyed the process of telling stories about people she met and began to carry a voice recorder with her, to record her conversations. She said she was obsessed with recording everything. So after the quarter ended, she wanted to continue she wanted to continue doing the new storytelling skill that she learned. Gillett joined with a local photographer who was working on a project involving photographing African American businesses. So the photographer had developed contacts in the community because she had been working as a photographer for an all-black church in the neighborhood. Her role was to conduct interviews with the business owners and different things like that. So I guess I see where her deficit came into play. She couldn't really relate to this crowd, but in a sense like that, that's when things of this nature become a learning experience for you to then learn where other people come from, for you to then understand how people go about things. Like, this was a great learning opportunity for her to learn more about others who don't have as much privilege as her, that could then go back into a news story for her to create, or different things like that. So as the story went along, she basically came to a challenge, like, who is she telling this story to? Basically, when it comes to things like that, you got to find a community or an audience that relates to the same people who were there giving you the story. Because if you can't find an audience that relates to the story, then there's no point in giving out the story. So she had to figure out who her audience was. And basically, throughout the situation, Gillett considered carefully her feelings regarding the photographer's project. She sought counsel from the news writing and editor professor, who noted that Gillett's awareness of difference was in itself a positive step towards making sure she was representing her subjects appropriately and with respect. So honestly, I think she went about everything the correct way. When you come into a situation where you may not necessarily be comfortable, it's always a learning experience. And overall, I just grasped the concept that everything is, storytelling. You just have to make sure you have the right tone to get the right message across.